Hi, and welcome to Uncover Your Story, the podcast for creatives, changemakers, and big-hearted rebels who believe in the power of stories to inspire, connect, and make a difference. I'm your host, Sarah Orton, brand photographer, storyteller, and content creator. Whether you have a personal brand or you work for a non-profit focused on bringing positive impact to people's lives, the stories you tell can make all the difference. My mission is to empower you to share your story with conviction and joy and increase your impact in the world. So join me and my guests weekly to build your communications toolkit with actionable tips, strategies, and insights to uncover your full storytelling potential. Okay, so if you haven't already listened to last week's episode, which was part one of my conversation with Earth Soul mentor Kelly Pietrangeli, then it's worth going back to listen to that episode first. For the rest of you, we're going to dive straight back into that conversation with Kelly. So you've talked a bit about your pivot from Project Me to what you do now as an Earth Soul mentor. And can you explain how the role of storytelling played in bringing your audience along with you?
Yeah, that was a really big deal for me. How am I going to get, as my husband said, all these people know you for this. How are you going to, so that was like, whoa. And I knew that more and more people were following my podcast. So that really, really helped because they were hearing my stories in a very, down to earth way of like what happened when I went to see a clairvoyant and, whatever, and everything she said to me. And when I went in there so skeptical and everything she said to me. And I just started sharing stories about all like, how I began to open up. My mind began to open up and I began to become more curious and open-minded. So because the people who had been following me before were now following my podcast in real time, not like now where you have to kind of go back to the beginning and listen, but they were like, whenever a podcast episode would drop, I would send that out to my newsletter list. That helped. But my big worry was I had a membership. It was called Project We, and it was very practical. It was all about helping people with, the logistics of running a well-balanced life. But I knew that I could no longer be running the monthly workshops and the topics and be talking about that kind of stuff anymore because I knew I wanted to pivot my business. But how was I going to bring those members over to this new thing? What if they left? What if it was like killed my business? What if it killed my membership? And then I had a dream. And I had this really powerful dream. I keep a dream journal. And so I wrote about it in the morning. And it was all about how I had this dream that in my house, there was this big antique piano and it was wedged into the wall. And I wanted to move it with me to my new house, but I couldn't get it out. It was stuck in the wall. And I was just absolutely like having to leave it behind, like get into the moving van and leave behind this big, beautiful antique piano. And then as I drove off, I realized like that when I woke up, actually, when I wrote about it, like dream interpretation, what does that mean? I'm like, okay, I need to leave the piano behind. It doesn't mean that other people, the new people who move into that house can have that piano and they can tinker on it and they can play beautiful music on it, but I don't need to be playing that tune anymore. And so I turned on the video and shared about that dream, read it straight out of my dream journal, read straight out of my interpretation of what it all meant. And I said, guys, I need to leave Project Me and Project We behind, and I need to move over to here. And you guys can still keep using those tools. You can still keep playing with all that stuff that I've given you. But who wants to come with me on this in this new thing? And the new membership's going to be called Soul Explorers. And who wants to come with me? And I think 90% came with me.
Wow, that's amazing.
Whereas imagine if I had just told them, hey guys, I'm changing my mind and we're going to be moving to this thing. People would be like, what? Huh? What's happening? What is this? And instead I shared a genuine story about this dream I had and help them to feel a part of it all too.
Brought them along with you.
Yeah.
So as a business owner and a storyteller, what has been the biggest challenge you face and how have you overcome it?
Well, I shared this story in one of my podcast episodes. It's called Money is Energy. And it's about when I invested a lot of money in a business coach that didn't deliver. And for me at that time, it was a lot of money and it meant everything to me. And she didn't deliver. And I ended up spending the best part of the next year. Am I going to sue her? Getting legal advice. Lots of other people were in the same boat. So we were all in this like pool together, trying to figure out how we were sharing our stories, sharing how upset we were, all of this stuff. And during all that time, the money in my business just got worse. Like I
Mm,
hardly had any money to pay. I had a virtual assistant. I hardly had enough money to pay her every month
mm,
for her fees. And then I just had this complete and utter, you know what? As long as I'm in this pool of other women who are all wanting to sue this person, and I'm in this energy of we got ripped off and I've been, whatever, I am not going to be able to move forward. So
mm.
I just had to say adios to everybody there. And they were like, wait, what? We need you. We need your voice and everything. I was like, no, I need to close the chapter on this right now. And it was a big deal at the time. I
Yeah.
decided I'm closing that chapter. I'm getting out of those chats. I'm getting out of everything. Just cancel. Don't want to speak to the lawyer anymore. And I'm moving forward now with a fresh new energy. What did I learn from that experience? How am I going to run my business that I would never do how she did? Sometimes you have to learn the hard way about things
Yeah.
that you would absolutely not do yourself in business. And I
Mhm.
learned exactly what I would never do to
Mhm.
somebody else ever. And the moment that I energetically let go of that,
Right.
my original business mentor, Marie Forleo,
Mhm.
she's global. I've never had any, I say business mentor, but I was in her program, but I've never actually had any interaction, real interaction with her. She reached out to me, said that she found my business model very inspiring and would I like to be an affiliate of B School
Wow.
and getting a 50% commission off of everybody who does B School. And
Yeah.
that happened. I said yes. And within a couple of months, I made more money in my business, more money by doing that. Cause it's just one window. It's just only the month of February. So it isn't like
Yeah.
something I have to do all year. It was just only the month of February. Just share my B School story. And so I just openly shared the story. It was like a sliding door story of how I almost missed doing it, like what would have happened if the
Yeah.
sliding doors, what would have happened if I would have, if I hadn't heard about it, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have started my business and
Mm.
I wouldn't be doing the work I love doing right now. So I just
Yeah.
started sharing stories about my B School
Mhm.
journey with others and they
Yeah.
resonated with that. And then they joined and we created this whole community of B schoolers who've done B School under me now. And
Amazing.
so, yeah, it ended up being like this really wonderful thing. But yeah, I would say that was my biggest challenge in business was
Yeah.
having to let that go, the money, and then realizing that like everything is energy and the understanding that everything has an energetic frequency. And when we get ourselves into a downward spiral about something, we're just attracting more of that back to us. And when you
Mhm.
can somehow cut it off, let it go. But look what
Yeah.
happens. Like again, it's
Yeah.
the synchronicities and the magic and I
Yeah.
don't know if my frequency would have been high enough for Marie Forleo to think of me. You know what I mean? Like
Amazing. I mean, what an endorsement. Yes, many people will have heard of her, but for those who haven't, she's like a huge global, successful businesswoman, isn't she? And although you've done her school, you're saying you didn't actually have much personal interaction with her. So,
none.
did
Yeah.
you have any idea that she was even aware of your
No,
business?
no, not at all. I
No.
mean, I am very engaged in her community as in like there was a Facebook group and on her social media, I'm always like, so I was engaged with her. So I think that's important.
Yes.
Somebody knows who you are from that point
Yeah.
of view. So I'm sure because she saw me comment a lot and be engaged into her Instagram and her
Yeah.
Facebook and everything, she would click over to me. I'd always say I did B school and
Yeah.
whatever, I'm a B schooler.
Was she
And so
following you on Instagram or
no, no,
no? No.
no. But then when she came to London and she had her book launch, and I just kind of made my way up to the table where she was like, "Oh my God, Kelly!"
Oh
and
my God.
whatever. And so so I got to the pictures with her and
Oh,
everything, and then that
amazing.
helped in next year's B School launch. That like there I am with Marie,
Yeah.
and I've met her on another occasion too at a different
Yeah.
event. I've met her like
Yeah.
3 times now.
Fantastic.
So yeah, it was just like wonderful.
Yeah.
But again, storytelling is how I've always
Yeah.
worked my business, yeah.
Yeah.
Without meaning to, without, like,
Yes.
thinking
Yes.
about it, like, it just
Yeah. It just comes naturally to you. Yeah. But
yeah.
to going back to how storytelling is very much a part of this know, like, trust, and that we want to build as business owners to get our dream clients to invest their money with us. And obviously, you have had the experience being the client, being somebody who's invested your money in B school. So you did with that, and lots of other things as you've mentioned. But so looking back with hindsight, the experience you just shared that didn't go well. Do you see, looking back, that actually you weren't listening to your instincts, or you weren't trusting? your vibes about the woman that, let you down, basically?
I've had some time to reflect on it now. And the reason why I joined this specific program of hers was it was all about creating your signature program, creating your signature program. I went
Mm,
into that course. My signature program was going to be all about productivity and time management for busy mothers.
mm,
I was going to be one of those people like, I don't know if you know Denise Duffield Thomas, who does her, she has got one course and it's the Lucky Bitch Boot Camp. She's been doing that for years and years and years and years because, it's just the one thing she does. Or Marie Forleo, B School. Like
mhm,
some people have like the one thing that they do. I
mm,
look back on it now and I go, oh my God, what if I had made a success out of the productivity and time management? Like I wanted to create one signature course that was going to be my
yeah,
one thing. If I
yeah,
had done that, I would
mhm,
be stuck doing
yeah,
that.
mm,
Like I would feel like I couldn't step out of that. I
yeah,
would really, really feel tied to that. That would be like the piano that I was like trying to cling on to that, I'd be
yeah,
trying to like take a chainsaw and cutting it out of the wall. I
yeah,
I I really see that everything happens for a reason and that
mm,
I wasn't meant to create that signature online course.
yeah.
And I needed to be with someone really unscrupulous and unhelpful so that I would get sidetracked in that whole idea.
So she did you a favor.
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, I think oftentimes we do not see the gifts contained in our challenges until
Mhm,
much later. And I think
mm,
it's really important then to go back to things and look at what did I learn from that and why didn't that work out?
yeah,
I mean, I love it
yeah,
when things work out the way I want it to, but when things
yeah,
don't work out the way I want it to, I have to give it some time if it doesn't make sense to me right away. And
yeah,
later on, yes, I get
yeah,
it.
yeah. And it's often where the biggest learnings come, isn't it? The things that go wrong.
Yep.
So I would love now for you to share with us one of your most woo-woo, or should we say magical, soulful stories and how you use this to help others.
Okay. I remember when I was first sharing this story, I definitely felt like, are people going to go running for the hills on this one? So I had created a program called the High Vibe Journey, and it was to teach women in very practical terms how to understand themselves as energy. And I had mapped out the first three modules. It was a 1 month program, one module per week. But I left module 4 empty. People were doing the program and I just wanted to see what they might need for week 4, but I didn't really know what I was going to do. Suddenly the first cohort are like about ready to start week 4 and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't have a week 4. Like I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I just decided, I journaled and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to share the story. That's all I'm going to do is I'm just going to share the story of how it is that I came to understand that everything is energy, because I never really explained that. And real story is that I went to a transformational breathwork facilitator. I've been to different ones on different things. This is
Mhm.
the very first time I ever tried it. So the story I told you before about the throat chakra, that was
Yeah.
me. That was later on. This
Mhm.
was me going to see a breathwork facilitator only because she was the author. She was an author with the same publisher as who I'd just been signed to. And I
Mhm.
saw her book in W.H. Smith's at the airport. I just grabbed it. It was called And Breathe. And I looked on the back and I was like, oh my goodness, she's got the same publisher as me. I'm going to book in for a session with her so I can pick her brain a bit because I wasn't really getting on with my editor. And I knew she had the same editor. So I went in there with like that purpose. So
Yeah.
I was honest with her. We sat down and I told her that and she shared some information with me. And she goes, okay, now what do you want to work on for the breath work? And I hadn't gone in there with anything in mind. I said, well, I've been hearing a lot lately this term like everything is energy, and I don't really understand it. And I don't like I don't I want to understand myself as a vibrational being. I heard that come out of my mouth, and even as I was saying it, I was like, what am I talking about? Like I didn't really get it. Anyway, during that breathwork session, there was this incredible like tribal music playing, and there was all this stuff. I had to lay down on this mat on the floor, and she guided me through this kind of method of breathing. And I found it really difficult at first to get this breathing down. But once I did, I sort of went poof and I went off. And I mean, I literally left my body and I became pure light and energy. I don't know any other way to describe it except I was no longer in human form. I was light and love and energy. And I was just this vibrational being. And all in one go, I had this complete understanding. Oh, I understand. When we die, we go back to being energy again. And then sometimes we can come back into human form and the energy comes back again. And when someone dies, that's why we can still feel them. We still know their essence. So much more than that. But basically, when I came back to and we kind of sat down and I was like, oh my God, I had this like blanket wrapped around me. We're sitting cross legged on the floor facing each other. She goes, how was it? And I said, huh, like I could have maybe studied this topic for years, read every book on the subject and everything. Like, I get it. Like, I
Yeah.
totally feel like it's just been implanted into me. And I absolutely now understand like so much about everything. Like, it was just
Yeah.
incredible experience. And my body was tingling and my legs and feet in particular were just vibrating and tingling like mad. And from that day forward, it's happening right now because I'm talking about it. From that day forward, whenever something is like a yes or someone's talking about something that's like a pay attention, Kelly, my feet and legs tingle. I'm just doing it right now, but like they vibrate. And so I decided to share that story because imagine when I did the High Vibe Journey program, it was for 12 women. I was way too afraid to like even make it for more than that. And it was like, it was a word of mouth thing. It was like kind of handpicked a few people that I thought might want to do this program. But I made everything in really practical terms. Week 1, 2, and 3 was just all, it was very making it all make sense. People said that, wow, I've never even thought about this kind of stuff. And this makes total sense. But that story felt like, whew, this is really out there, but I'm just going to share it. And they all said, that story really, really like opened them up. Something really
Mhm.
opened up in them and they went, wow, okay. Like when you get behind somebody's why, or
Yeah.
like, how do they know this stuff? They're teaching me this, but how do they know it?
Yeah.
It's like, I
Yeah.
know it because it just like came through to me, the
Yeah.
information just came through. So yeah, that's probably I've now done a podcast episode on that. I think it's called Everything is Energy. But at the time that felt really, really scary.
I'm so fascinated and curious about all these stories, which just blow my mind. And have you heard like that from like the women that you shared it with, for example? Have they gone on to try to sort of like experience this sort of thing themselves? Have they
Oh my
experienced
goodness,
it?
every woman who's done my High Vibe Journey program,
Yeah,
then, like, practically went on to join my Soul Explorers membership,
yeah,
and people are now I've now tried Reiki. Now they're like, we're, like, 3
yeah.
years in, they're like, "I'm a Reiki practitioner now." There's somebody else who's, like, a school teacher, but she was introduced to EFT through my podcast and through, me talking about it in my membership. She's
Yeah.
now qualified to be an EFT practitioner. And so it's really like people are opening up to their soulful side in all sorts of ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm so interested to see where this journey may take me myself, as I've just signed up for Kenny's Soul Explorers membership myself, and I thought it might be useful actually for listeners just to hear the journey that I went on to signing up with you, as in terms of sort of like storytelling and how we bring clients with us and bring them in, because so as I've mentioned, we met in a mastermind group coaching with Vicky Knights for anyone who's interested in getting greater clarity and confidence in their visibility of their business. It's a brilliant mastermind. So that's where we first met. And met you there, and as I've mentioned, really liked your vibe, and obviously started following you on Instagram. Had a little look at your website, read a little bit about it, but didn't sort of go into great detail. We're all busy, and it was a couple of months into having, being with you in the mastermind before I got around to listening to your podcast. And as I mentioned, since I've been listening to that, I've been binge listening to it, and you've really hooked me in with the stories you share there. And I'm just so curious about it all. And I think I then sort of had another look at your website, and I saw that you run retreats in Ibiza, and I was like, I would love to go on one of your retreats, but the timing isn't right for me this year. But bookmark that, sort of like sign up for the information. I know I'll maybe next year and put it on my vision board. And then you introduced your chakra quiz, which is something you've just launched, your rainbow journey. And so I did your chakra quiz and got sent your free video for the introducing people to chakras. Found that really interesting. And again, started looking around the website again and reading much more intentionally, and sort of understood more about the Soul Explorers membership, and thought, when I'd first seen it, I had also been interested in it, but I thought, I don't have time for this. I've already got a couple of women's business memberships that I'm part of. And I know that this is what you're offering is something very different, but I just felt I didn't have the time. But then, you've really taken me on this journey with all your stories and all these different touch points. And I just feel so curious about it all now. And I'm just like, I'm just going to do it because, we're always busy and there's always going to be a reason to put it off. But I just, really wanted to do it. And so I just signed up last week and I'm about to dive into your rainbow journey, your chakra journey. So it's all very exciting.
Yay. Yeah, I know. We were talking about that in the mastermind with Vicky, weren't we? Where it was
Mm,
how many times people need to touch people. You can't just, some people try to make just a presence for themselves only on one platform. Like
mm,
I'm just going to be on Instagram. The
mm,
thing about that is the algorithms change, and what you could, people might follow, you think that they're following you, but they don't ever see you in their
mm,
stuff. But if you capture their email address and you start sending them newsletters that they read and that they open, then at the link at the bottom is like your Instagram. They might go, oh, click on that again, then they'll engage with the post, and then that will kind of boost the algorithm there. And then, yeah, like you just have to kind of touch people in different ways, in
mm.
different platforms. So the
Yeah.
podcast is great. And it takes several touches. I
Yeah.
forget what was the number that Vicky was telling us in that research?
I think it was 11,4,7. It was like number of hours that people need to spend with you, and then across 4
Yes.
different platforms, and then something else. But yeah,
Yeah,
um,
I probably have it in my notes, but I'd have to try to
yeah.
find it. But sorry, Vicky, if you're listening, that we don't have that. We don't have it memorized.
Yeah, I took my notes and I will share it in the
All
key
I took
takeaways.
away from it, all I really took away from that is, yeah, we need to be touching people much more than once. And we think that
Yeah.
we're going to bug people if we send another email about the same thing or something, but people don't.
Mm.
They're busy, and even if they've opened it, they might have just skimmed it that time. But another time, you might be catching them in the doctor's waiting room where there's got ages to kill, and they're reading
Yeah.
it. Now they're reading it like more thoroughly, and so
Yes.
you have to just keep going and be
Yeah.
consistent, and
Yeah.
yeah.
That's right. So, Kelly, if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Well, I would love to be able to sit my 48-year-old younger self, because
Mhm.
that was me 10 years ago. I would love to sit my 48-year-old younger me down, and I was just starting my business then, and I would tell her, Kelly, not everyone is going to get what you do, and that's okay. You can't be something to everyone,
Mm.
and you do you. Your
Mm.
energy is going to attract those who need and want what you have to offer, and you're not going to be an energetic match to everyone, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Like, I really, really wish that I could have told myself that, because I think in the beginning, yeah, I just definitely, I remember having a real setback moment when I shared about Project Me and my blog and my newsletter, and to a friend that, was a busy mother. She was like my ideal ICA, I thought. And so, I shared it with her, and she was like, oh gosh, all that, what'd she call it? All that personal growth malarkey. And it's amazing how when somebody that you really care about, you care about their opinion and everything, says something like that, how it can just set you back. Like, it really. So what it made me do is, oh, just because someone's a busy mother with kids, they might not like my blog, they might not like what I'm talking about. So I didn't want to tell people about it because I was too afraid they would think it was personal growth, self-help malarkey, or whatever those words were. And
Mhm.
so that stopped me for so long, sharing about what I do with even like mothers I would meet at school or on the playground or whatever, when I could have like shared about it to like people. I didn't, because I was like, oh, this might not be their cup of tea. So
Yeah.
yeah, just like, it doesn't matter. I think that you can go deeper into it with somebody if they're interested, but
Mm.
tell them what you do. And if they don't like it, whatever, like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah. That's really, really good advice. So you've created such a strong personal brand from your visual identity to your tone of voice, your messaging, and of course your storytelling. What advice would you give to someone creating a personal brand?
Don't be vanilla. And what I mean by that, okay, so vanilla is probably the world's biggest selling ice cream flavor, right? You can get vanilla at every supermarket, you can get vanilla at any ice cream shop. Like, everyone's got vanilla, but it's safe. You can find it everywhere. But think about your own favorite ice cream flavor. Do you have a favorite one?
um, I would probably chocolate.
Chocolate. Okay.
Not particularly exciting, but
No, well, for me, it's pistachio. Like I love
okay.
pistachio ice cream.
Yeah.
And so for me, when an ice cream place even has pistachio, like yay. And if they do a really, really good pistachio, I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. And then I just want to keep going back to that place because they've got
Yeah.
pistachio. And then
Yeah.
if I meet somebody else who likes pistachio ice cream, I'll go, oh God, come with me. Come to this ice cream place with me. They've got the best pistachio, or I tell them about it, whatever.
Yeah.
So if you think about that in your business and
Mm.
building your brand and your visual identity, you can be safe, you can be vanilla, and you're going to appeal to like a lot of people because a lot of people like vanilla, but
Mm.
it's not going to be very memorable. And people can
Yeah.
get that anywhere. They can
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can go to her, to them, to them. They can get that anywhere. So you need to be a little bit pistachio or, or whatever it is in your. For me, I just think I'd be pistachio, Kelly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I always try to be myself more than anything. So it isn't about trying to be out there and be outlandish if that's not you. And I don't think I do that. But it's just about not wanting to be safe and blending in
Yeah.
and not being afraid to be a bit different, you know?
Yeah. I like that. And now I'm thinking about it. I cannot really remember particularly any chocolate ice cream I've had, but I do remember the boysenberry ice cream I had in New Zealand. That was amazing.
There you go. You remember that boysenberry ice
Yeah.
cream. Yeah. Memorable ice cream.
Yeah. I've got one more question for you. But before I move on to that question, are you able to share with us, because I'm sure the listeners are as curious as I am, what the Prince story is?
Okay. So this is gonna really show my age, but I already gave my age away anyway. That when the movie Purple Rain came out and the album Purple Rain came out, I was an extra in Purple Rain. So like
Yes.
I'm there in the crowd scene. If you have to like you'll blink and
Oh,
you miss me.
yeah.
But I was just the biggest Prince fan, and I wore
Okay.
purple like all the time. That the Prince color purple. When I was in high school, I wore
Yeah.
purple. And then when I was at university, I was singing with a band, and we got invited to play at Prince's Club. I'm from Minneapolis. I probably should point out that I'm from Minneapolis, which is where Prince is from.
Yeah.
And he was just a few years older than me. And we got invited. My band got invited to play at Prince's Club, First Avenue.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so we were on the main stage at First Avenue, and yeah,
Was he
that's
there?
there's this story, urban myth kind of story,
Yeah.
that there's this little like window up at the top, and it's like
Uh-huh.
you could like one of those mirrored windows, and that
Yeah.
he would watch. And when I looked up, I saw the mirrored window. So
Yeah.
I don't know whether he was
Amazing.
really there or not, but and this is where we're going to venture into the woo woo if you're ready for it. Fast forward all these years, like into more recent times, and I have discovered that Prince is my spirit guide.
What?
I know. I know.
Okay, tell me more.
Okay. So, multiple things pointing to it, but for example, when I go deep into meditation, I see purple. But now I understand that purple is associated with the third eye and the crown chakra and everything. So I understand that when you're going deep in meditation, you would see purple. But at
Okay.
the time, I was like, "Whoa, I'm seeing purple!" And then, like, I finished a meditation and I saw purple like crazy. And then when I picked up my phone afterwards, because it was a guided meditation on my phone, there was a YouTube message that had flashed up, and I don't get YouTube notifications on my phone, and it said new song by Prince on the thing, and I clicked through to it, and it was like some of his new material had just been released, but it was that came up when I was having the purple meditation.
Mm.
And then all kinds of things where my mother was looking for a place to live and I was helping her. We were just combing the streets. We were looking for somewhere. She relocated to Spain, and we were looking for someplace. And then I looked up and there was somebody had painted Prince on the wall, this Prince thing. And I said, "Oh, look, there's my spirit guide, Prince." And then we looked all over for this place for her. And then in the end, the place she found was right on the street where the Prince was. And we realized he was trying to tell me the whole time, it's right here.
Wow.
And then when I had that soul plan reading done, I have so many more stories in this, but I'll just tell you this one. When I had my soul
Okay.
plan reading done with that woman back, before I knew about soul plan,
Mhm.
she looked at my chart and said, "Oh, wow, you've got the same soul plan as Prince."
What?
Yeah, I said, "What?" And now that I've gone through the letters of his birth name and I've compared it, we have the same soul destiny. We have the
No.
same soul talents. We have the same soul challenges. We have our soul plan is the same.
Amazing. What a cool
Yeah,
story.
I know. So there you go. That's my Prince story in a
Yeah,
nutshell.
very good. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, last question. What's a short story from your work that brings you joy?
A short story would be that I ran a retreat a couple of years ago. It was a woman who has 3 children, and she said she didn't think she would ever be able to get away. She'd never done anything for herself. Her husband worked away, so it was really difficult for her to ever get away. And then I just told her, put it on your vision board, put the retreat on your vision board. 'Cause I knew she really wanted to do it. And then she said, okay, everything's working out. I'm able to come on the retreat. My husband's going to be working from home for quite a while so he can look after the kids. I can come. And she came on the retreat. She had an amazing experience. And she told me that afterwards, when she was getting on the plane to fly back home, that she looked at her phone to unlock her phone screen, and phone recognition didn't work. The facial recognition didn't work because it didn't recognize her anymore, because her face was so different. She
Wow.
was so rejuvenated and so vibrant and everything that her facial recognition didn't work on her
It's
phone.
giving me tingles.
True story.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Kelly, you have been an absolute joy to speak to. Thank you so much for sharing everything you have. It's been, yeah, just wonderful.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed it too.
What a storyteller Kelly is. Her journey is such a powerful reminder that our businesses evolve as we do, and that when we share our stories openly and honestly, we bring others along with us. There are so many gems of insights that I've struggled to choose only 3 takeaways, but here's what I'm going with. Number 1, it's never too late to start the next chapter of your story. Kelly launched her business a decade ago when she was 48, and I loved what she said about the advice she would give her 48-year-old self, which was, not everyone is going to get what you do, and that's okay. You don't have to be something for everyone. Your energy will attract those who need it and want what you have to offer. I also find it incredibly inspiring to see how Kelly has built such a successful global brand since turning 48. I quietly launched my own business as a side hustle 3 years ago when I was about to turn 48, and I'm excited to see what the next decade brings. Number 2, energy matters. The energy you bring to your business shapes your results. Letting go of negativity creates space for new opportunities and unexpected magic. So whether that's letting go of a bad experience with a client, a partner, or a mentor, or letting go of something you've built and loved but which you've outgrown, it's just good to listen to your inner voice and recognize what is lighting you up in your business and what it's time to let go of. Number 3, be your version of pistachio. Kelly gave a great analogy of how playing it safe might appeal to lots of people, but it won't make you memorable. So be more like your version of pistachio ice cream as opposed to vanilla. Lean into what makes you unique, and you'll attract the right people to your work. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with a fellow creative or change maker who's navigating their own season of growth and transformation. You can find all the links we mentioned, including how to connect with Kelly and explore her Soul Explorers membership, in the show notes. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit follow so you don't miss future episodes of Uncover Your Story. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time, uncover your story, own it, share it, and shine.